Welcome to your daily devotional with me, PMV. One of the key words in the book of Revelation is the word throne. It appears 46 times throughout the book, and in Revelation chapter 4, in that one chapter that's very short, it appears 13 times. The throne and the God who is worthy to sit on it are the focal points of chapters 4 and 5 in the book of Revelation. Historically, the Greek word that we translate as throne can simply refer to a seat of honor. Maybe you're throwing a birthday party and the person, whoever's birthday it is, they come and they arrive at the party and they would be seated in a place of honor or on a throne. It's the same Greek word. In Revelation, it's used of the throne of God, which is contrasted here to the throne of Satan, such as in Revelation chapter 2, verse 13, in the message to the church at Pergamos. The early church would have also understood this as a contrast to Rome, and specifically Caesar, who sat on the throne. So specific to Revelation chapter 4, God is the one on the throne in heaven, and he is worthy to sit on the throne and to receive glory and power and honor. Today we begin the second of the three major divisions of the book of Revelation as we begin our study in Revelation chapter 4. So Revelation chapter 4 verse 1 reads, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, 'Come up here, and I will show you things which must take place after this.'" All right, notice the verse begins with the phrase, "after these things." So in Revelation chapters 1 through 3, John received a new revelation or a fresh vision of Jesus Christ. With that fresh unveiling or revelation of Jesus, John received messages to the seven churches in Asia Minor, which we looked at that in chapters 1 through 3. So what we have in chapter 4, verse 1 is a transition. It's not a temporal transition, but a change in the focus of the book. In chapter 4, the message John receives or is receiving, it now moves from the letters of the seven specific churches, specifically addressed to them, to a vision of the throne of God in heaven. There's a very stark transition here from chapter 3 to chapter 4. Also, the book of Revelation itself moves from more of an epistolary feel, which was chapters 1 through 3, to more of a narrative feel as we move forward. The first half of Revelation chapter 4, verse 1 reads, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven." Again, the focus of the book, the message, shifts from the seven churches on earth to the throne, God's throne in heaven. A door being opened is another way of saying that John was invited in. The rest of Revelation chapter 4:1 makes that clear. It says, "And the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, 'Come up here, and I will show you things which must take place after this.'" Okay, so the voice like a trumpet was most likely Jesus. His voice was likened to that of a trumpet in Revelation chapter 1, verse 9. We've already seen that. And what was John being called or invited to heaven to see? Things which must take place after this. So similar to what was said in the first verse of the book of Revelation, the things which must take place. In other words, they've already been determined by the will of God. They will surely happen. But also, they will take place, quote, "after this." The message that began in Revelation 4:1 is a message regarding the future. So in Revelation 6, we will see the beginning of God's wrath being poured out on the world. But before the beginning of the judgments of God, we see a vision of the throne of God. Before we move on to verse 2 and the vision of the throne, we need to address one thing. When you get to Revelation chapter 4, many teachers or preachers do a deep dive on the theme of the rapture of the church. They spend a lot of time discussing what they believe that the rapture is either pictured here or isn't pictured here. But I want you to notice that is not the central theme of Revelation chapter 4. What's the central theme? I've already said it. The throne and the God who is worthy to sit on it. So while I will touch on the rapture, that is not going to be our main focus today, because the throne is the clear focus of Revelation chapter 4. So those who hold to a pre-tribulation view believe that God will rapture the church before the tribulation. That means believers in Jesus Christ on earth will be taken to heaven before the tribulation, which begins in Revelation chapter 6. Pre-tribulationists believe that when John was taken up to heaven in Revelation chapter 4 verse 1, what we just read, that he represents the church being raptured up into heaven. He's a representative of the rapture taking place. So many godly people hold to this view, but also many godly people don't hold to this view. To me, there's really three important things that need to be decided. You have to decide in your own heart. These are the things that are more important than whether you believe the rapture is at Revelation chapter 4:1 or not. First, are you being honest with each verse of Scripture as it is? Or are you reading your preconceived ideas or systematic theologies into the text to make it mean what you want? Be honest with the text. That goes for all of Scripture. Second, do you believe in the imminence of the return of Jesus? That means, do you believe that Jesus could really return at any moment, and we want to be found ready for his return, which again could be at any moment? The imminence of the return of Christ is the clear teaching of Scripture as seen especially in Jesus' parables. Third, do you believe in the literal and bodily return of Jesus? The Bible teaches that Jesus himself will return for us, and that he will return in his glorified body, his resurrected body. Again, this is the clear teaching of Scripture. There's not really any dispute or not much there whatsoever. So to me, whether you see the rapture in Revelation chapter 4 or not, that's really not the primary issue. The primary issue of the text is the throne. And the primary issues to me are, one, are you being honest with the text? Two, do you believe Jesus could really return at any moment? And three, do you believe in the literal and bodily return of Jesus Christ? Those are the more significant issues that I think we can more broadly agree on and stay unified rather than trying to divide. That being said, let's move on to Revelation chapter 4, verse 2, which reads, "Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne sat in heaven, and one sat on the throne." So first, when John says he was in the Spirit, I believe this is pointing back to Revelation chapter 1, verse 10. When John said the message of the book was communicated to him on the Lord's day when he was in the Spirit. Why is that important? Well, because we understand that the book of Revelation was given in the context of worship. This is all happening in the context of worship. Second, the throne. Revelation is the only New Testament book that describes the throne of God. And it parallels with the Old Testament visions of the throne, which are found in Isaiah 6 and Ezekiel 1. So the book of Revelation is making a point regarding the throne that applies to our lives today. There is only one who is worthy to sit on the throne. Now, our God is three persons and yet one God. So when I say one, I'm not excluding any member of the Trinity, but today I want to focus on the Father because that's what the focus of this passage is. Most of the issues in our world today and many of the problems in our personal lives come down to a lordship issue. Who is sitting on the throne? Matthew was a tax collector. He cheated his own Jewish people to get rich. We've talked about him before. He worked for Rome and he was hated for it. Money was on the throne of his life, and he served it to the extent of being willing to be hated by and betrayed by his own people. You see, that is what the throne is. It represents what we worship. Our entire lives will be directed around what sits on the throne. Jesus walked up to Matthew and simply said, "Follow me," but what Jesus was really saying was, Matthew, you have the wrong thing, the wrong person on the throne of your life, on the throne of your heart, and you're paying the price for it, you need to cast that down and come follow me. Put me on the throne of your heart. And that's exactly what Matthew did. He was a tax collector turned disciple of Jesus who also authored one of the books of the Bible. What an amazing story, but we must remember that Matthew had to cast down what was on the throne to receive Jesus as the Lord of his life. And he kept Jesus as Lord of his life. You see, Matthew had many opportunities to turn away. What about when the Pharisees plotted to kill Jesus? Matthew could have turned away. What about when Jesus talked about eating his body and many of the crowd turned away? Matthew could have left. At any moment, Matthew could have returned to his old Lord and put money back on the throne, but he didn't. You see, once Jesus is truly on the throne of your life, all of your life is subjected to him. And we live in a world that doesn't want to pay the price for anything. We just want to receive. We live in a consumer-driven world. But what we don't realize is that whatever or whoever is on the throne of our hearts is costing us something. Again, there is only one who is worthy of the throne. Thank you for joining me today. For more information, go to pmvministries.org. And as always, I hope you have a great day.